What is up, everyone? Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Game Cast. I am one of your hosts, Kenny, and with me is Tess. I think Tess is with us.
Yeah, I'm here. Hey.
When muting goes wrong. We are back for episode 79. 79, back off of a slight hiatus, giving ourselves a little week off there to give you some awesome news. Actually, I don't really have any awesome news outside of I have been interviewing for a potential job
That's
and
fun.
it's going well. It's going well. I can't speak on it too much right now, but I've gotten past certain phases or certain steps that I wasn't sure I would make it through. And so the fact that I've gotten that far, it's like, oh, it's exciting. It's pretty cool. So I will definitely be sharing that information. How that goes in the coming weeks. But yeah, so that's I guess that's big news. That works. Beyond that, this
Hmm.
week has been fun and stressful. Leading on the fun stuff, I was able to play a lot of Elden Ring, and I know that that's like the talk of the town right now.
Mhm,
But it's very interesting for me because I'm not a fan of those type of games.
mhm.
I'm my anxiety spikes for different reasons, and it's not none of it has to do with the difficulty. I know that's the big talking point, accessibility, and the game's challenge and all that. But for me, it's been I guess this idea of like the unknown and the fact that you could die, you could actually lose something permanently in the game.
Oh,
Whereas, so the only ones that I've liked has been Sekiro, like, and then a few others that are kind of similar, but not exactly from the developed the same way that From Software develops their games. But Elden Ring, I think, alleviates a lot of that stress because it's open world, and you can literally do whatever you want, and not like GTA where you go and steal a car or whatever, but the idea that like, hey, this boss is giving you some trouble, if you go over there, there's like a weaker boss. How about you fight that guy? And then when you level up, you take his weapon. Then you come back and fight this guy. It doesn't bottleneck you into one thing or going into one direction, and it's a little bit more helpful when it comes to directing your path. If you want to go towards the main story missions and things like that, it's helpful. It doesn't. There's no like markers or like this floating icon that tells you, hey, the main boss is over here, but there is some direction. Usually From Software games are mysterious, and you kind of have to venture for yourself and see where you're supposed to go. And it's similar in that, but with various checkpoints and things that allow you to fast travel to different places, it's a lot more accommodating to people who might have struggled with Dark Souls games before. And so a lot of the pressure and a lot of the stress of not knowing what's going to happen and things like that has pretty much been alleviated for the most part. I've put in uh, like over 50 hours, and I didn't even feel it. Like I didn't like I was looking at Steam to see my playtime, and I was like, really? Like it's been that long? Okay. Uh, but and that's just to say that it's a good game. I'm having a really good time with it, and the fact that it's an open world that feels like exploring actually matters. Similarly to Breath of the Wild, and I know people have, they get bent out of shape if you compare any open world game to Breath of the Wild. But Breath of the Wild, while not reinventing the wheel, was able to shave off bits of it to make it shiny. And I think that I don't know if that analogy works, but go with it. And this does the same thing where when you go visit someplace or you're like, hey, there's a mountain over there. I wonder if I can get up there. Oh, I can. I wonder if there's something in this cave. Oh, there is something in this cave. As opposed to an open world game like from Ubisoft where there's an icon that says you should go check out this cave. Like
mm.
it's a little bit different in that regard. You feel great about finding something new. Like I went down a well thinking that, there might be an item down there. Turns out there was a whole freaking city. Like the like like with like inhabitants and like ruins and characters that I hadn't seen in the game before. Like I was like, this is all under this? Like how, Sway? Like it was a whole expansive area. Like the map changed. It was bananas. So so it feels good when you stumble onto those things. There are
Uh-huh.
some sticking points. It's not the easiest game to play, but it gives you the tools to kind of work through that. Even if you're not progressing in terms of the story, you'll be progressing in terms of, getting stronger, acquiring knowledge, finding, rare and powerful items. All that stuff feels kind of good when you're playing. Um, and I definitely recommend it. If you're, a little shy of those games because of previous experiences, definitely wait for a sale. But
Mm,
I think like a lot of people that I'm talking to who don't like those other games really like this one. Like the same with me. Like I don't I'm not probably not gonna beat Bloodborne. I keep trying, I keep going back to it. I don't think I'm gonna do it. And now that Elden Ring's here, I'm like, do I need to go back? Do I really? You
mm.
know? Um, and so that's kind of been most of my week outside of, interviewing for stuff and
Mhm.
worrying about things that I should be worrying about, but that's life apparently. Outside of the obvious things that's going on in the world right now. But
Right.
how was your week or weeks?
Same. I mean, just you know, navigating around being ill and work and trying to watch some stuff. I did end up finishing the I guess the main story on what's that game called that I play? Ah,
Assassins?
thank you. That Assassins. Yes, I finished the main story. So I was
Word.
proud of myself for doing that because that took some work.
I can imagine, yeah.
Yeah, it really did. Like repositioning body, like, okay, turn the TV to an angle and then do this part standing up.
You had to
Just
play it
to
from
not
like
get
the
dizzy.
peripheral.
Seriously. It was like, okay, and because just sometimes if it feels like the couch isn't far back enough, then I have to step further back, which means like backing into my bedroom, which is
Right.
kind of funny. But it's just it's like if somebody could take a picture of this happening, they'd be like, "There's something weird happening here." But yeah, I finished it. I thought that's such an accomplishment
That
because
is.
yeah, I mean, I got the game in 2015 and it is now 2022. And
Well, part of
yeah.
that you had to adult, and adulting
Uh-huh.
can suck sometimes, but then you also you recently had the injury, and so that made
Uh-huh.
it a little bit more difficult. So the fact that you were able to complete it, and to be honest, keep it in a buck, most people who buy these games don't finish. Like I think
Yeah.
the actual number of people that finish these large open world games, it's really low. A lot of people
Yeah.
buy them, but not a lot of people finish them.
Yeah. I actually realized how low the percentage is when Xbox tells you the amount of people who've complete, like
Right?
X- Xbox literally tells you it's like, "Hey, you just did something that most people don't do." It's like you collected a bunch of stuff. It's like, "Oh, okay." Then it's like, "Oh, by the way, you completed the game. Only 10% of people have done this." And you're
Right.
like, okay, now this just makes me feel like worse than a nerd. Like there's something below this, like that's what it feels like. I feel like I should not have done this then. But
No. The reality is games are too freaking long, and I say that after
yeah,
spending 50 hours in a game. Um,
right.
it's a lot of games are too long, a lot of games are bloated, especially Ubisoft games.
Yeah.
No shade to Ubisoft, but you put in everything in the kitchen sink, which is why what I was talking about, one of their games a while back, and how it allowed me to just go through the story without having to go through all the side stuff. It
Mhm.
was really refreshing.
Yeah.
Um, like really, really refreshing. Watch Dogs Legion, and you don't really see that a whole lot with Ubisoft. So yeah, I can imagine that people jump in and they like it, they have a good time, and because it's taking a long time to beat, maybe a new game came out that they're interested in,
Uh,
or they're like, you know what, I'll come back to it. But when you jump in the game and you haven't been playing for a long time, you forgot where to go or who you were talking to. So
yeah.
that tends to happen. It's yeah, that's a thing. That's a
I
thing.
don't even know what buttons do what buttons. Like what buttons? I don't know which button is buttoning. And it's just a lot. It's really a lot. It really is. I don't know how I managed to figure this out, but this is part of, neurotransmitters repairing themselves. People might sit there and be like, "Wait, what?" But no, that's exactly what it is. Like my
Right.
brain, just like you remember when I was saying I was playing the Lumosity games,
Right.
which I was supposed to do. Like I was literally not diagnosed. What's the word? Prescribed to do
Right.
those things. And I was like, okay. I mean, it's the same thing. You still have to use eye coordination. You have to, it's the same idea.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here like, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I'm supposed to be killing the big boss. This is the final boss. I don't even know how I made it here. I really don't, but I did. And I'm like, luckily when you're at the final boss in the new games versus being at the final boss when you played Mario, like you at the final boss playing Mario when we were kids, on the original Nintendo system, you die 3 times, that's it. You got to start from the beginning. Like that's how it works.
Right.
Nowadays you don't die 3 times and start from the beginning. You can die as many times as you want. Sometimes they put a little thing. It's like you actually can win an award for dying so many times. You know that,
Yeah,
right?
achievement.
I love that achievement. It's like die 500 times by something. I was like, wow, I don't think anybody was supposed to get that because it
It-
literally says 0.1% of players have gotten this, and that I think I'm the only one. But anyway, but yeah, I'm like, I don't know how to kill this guy. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. And then I'm like, oh, air assassination. And just do that 3 times and the guy finally dies.
That's
And I'm like,
awesome.
oh, okay, cool. It took a while because, this Assassins is that game where you're supposed to be stealthy. I'm
Right.
not. I failed all stealth games.
Just run
So
around stabbing folks.
why? There's no point to be stealthy. I'm just like, I am just out there. I always thought stealth was cool. I'm stealthy in real life. Like I used to be able to creep up on people mad easy. I have no problems doing that. I don't know how light of foot I've managed to be, especially when I gained weight. I am stealthy in real life, but video game, I'm like clomp, clomp, clomp. I can't. I can't. I like you're supposed to climb up a wall or you're supposed to hide behind something. I'm telling the controller to do something and my body is running up a wall. Why are you running up a wall when I've told you to go into cover behind this fallen carriage? Nothing is working. And so I just can't do those things very well. And so I need to use like 10 bottles of medicine to live and make it through a level. And it worked and I won.
Hey, that's what's up.
Yeah,
That's what's
proud.
up.
I
Sounds
didn't do the other
solid.
stuff though.
And
I didn't finish the rest of it.
hey, look, you reach the end credits. That's
Yeah.
what counts. There's way too much crap to do in those games. Which Assassin's Creed was it?
Unity, the first open world
Unity.
one. Yeah, that one. So, yeah, I did
Oh,
that.
right, right.
Yeah, I can't do those partner missions because they're terrible. Like, I even had to IGN it, like, go on there and be like, "Are people doing these partner missions?" And then little people are literally like, "You cannot do these partner missions alone." Like,
Yeah.
you can do them. There are people who've beat them alone because you literally can do them, but they're really, really hard. They're almost impossible. And some of them, and I was like, well, you know what? Not doing any of those. And then I was like, I don't know what you get by beating the other side stories. Like I mean, I know one of them you get an outfit. And I was like, I don't know if I want the outfit. I got all these other outfits for doing other cool things.
Say
It's like the outfit
my drip is fine. I am
yeah.
good.
I'm literally swagging all over the place. Like I look good. I'm good. So,
Uh,
but yeah, so I finished it and I actually own Assassin's Origins, I
yeah.
believe, but it's on my Xbox Live and I don't have that right now cuz I don't got money.
Wait, you mean on you bought it digitally?
Yeah.
Oh, you should still have it. You just have to sign in.
Yeah, I signed in and then they're like, "Yeah, you need to, pay for your Xbox Live before you can play games."
That's odd, unless it's on the Game Pass. Because the Ubisoft, depending on how it's set up, and I would have to kind of check it out, but
Uh-huh,
you would have to. It might be something because I know you got the new console. It might be something where you just have to re-download permission, but you shouldn't have to pay. Like if even if you don't have Xbox, because there's two different versions. There's the basic,
uh-huh,
I guess, silver and then gold. And if you have silver, which is basically just a Microsoft account, then
uh-huh.
everything that you purchase is still there. If it's a gold something and it's like tied in with that, like maybe the Game Pass thing, yeah, you would have to. Um, but either way, that's dope. Hopefully, you'll be able to complete Origins, sometime in the next few years.
Uh,
Because
Only by the time I'm 45.
I could not do it. I saw Valhalla, and Ubisoft keeps trying to sell me it. I don't want it. Like I went to get, like for instance, when I went and bought Legion, they were trying to bundle it, and I wanted to get a bundle that had Legion and some of their other games, but they kept putting Valhalla in all of them, and I was like, I don't want this long game. I'm done with Assassin's Creed. If they can make one that's like linear, I'm down. But it's just too much. And people were telling me that Valhalla is like one of the longest ones. I'm like, mm-mm, nope, no, no, no,
Yeah.
no. But yeah, speaking of things that I'm going to say no to, coming up on our first topic, found out that AMC is going to be charging more to see The Batman, which comes out, I think, tomorrow, breaking the fourth wall. Yeah, AMC, apparently, this is from checking out Dateline. Shout out to Jill Goldsmith, who reported on this that Adam Aaron, CEO of AMC Entertainment, said that tickets for The Batman will cost more than other movies when it opens this week, as a chain of experiments that they're doing in their theaters. And apparently, this is something that they've been doing in Europe already, where they charge a premium for the best seats, which is weird to me. Now Aaron Adam he makes mention of like sports events and concerts and stuff like that, where like the seats matter, like how close you are. Here's the thing: this is not the same as a VIP seat at the Super Bowl. This is not how this works. Typically, everyone has a decent seat in the house, except for the people that are like maybe really up close. Everyone, you're sitting in a way that you can see pretty well. With a concert, there's literally like it feels like you're miles away. In the, you know what I mean? Like in terms of how close you are to the act, how many people are there in the stadium, how
Mhm.
many where exactly are the seats are on the floor. It's a big difference when it comes to a live show like that versus a movie theater where everyone is essentially in the same area. It's very, I think what I think like 30 or 40 people, 50 people maybe, depending on how big the theater is. There's not a lot of people in that particular room at the time. You don't need to pay more for a closer seat. Most people don't want to be that damn close, anyways. So I don't think that analogy really works. It's interesting that they are, doing so in Europe though, and people are, I guess, okay with it. No one, I haven't. This is the first time I've heard of this type of thing, and so I was a little perplexed because I was like, I don't want to pay more to see the Batman. I don't even want to go considering it's COVID season. Like, if I do go see the Batman, it will be once people have seen it. I don't want to go right now and making me pay more to go see this particular movie over something else that's that's going to be going into theaters the same week. Why would I do that? Like, what? Eh, that's not something that really sits well with me, considering that, well, one, everyone's going to see the same movie in the same, you know, relative space, and then two, the price of AMC theaters or just going to see a movie anyways, depending on where you live, is already kind of pricey. Like this isn't. I know it's a like a privilege or like it's a premium type of thing to do, but yeah, I don't really want that. I'm the type of person who goes to a movie theater and not buy any popcorn, not buy any candy, because that stuff is too expensive. You know what I'm saying? If
No.
I do get popcorn, it's a celebration. I'm not like I just got a raise or I just got something. This is my
Right.
birthday. Yeah, I'm getting popcorn, but that's not a
That's like
regular thing.
that's like an episode of, like, My Wife and Kids or something or whatever. It's like, "I'm not getting popcorn. Did you do anything for popcorn? Did you get good grades for popcorn? Like
right?
I can
Like
just
whose
see
birthday
that.
is it? Who's
Right,
who? Someone got an anniversary? Like
right.
I'm not, and it's not to say that I'm cheap, but I
I
just know that the right. It's just the idea that like is it worth to me? Like I'll pay if it's worth it. And not to say that the Batman film isn't good. It's been getting really good scores across the board. I think it's like a 98%, fresh on
right.
Rotten Tomatoes or something like that. So I definitely want to see it, especially with
Uh,
them saying that Batman is actually a detective in this movie because he really sucked as a detective in the Nolan movies. I was like, you know what? I really do want to see this film.
yeah, he
But
was not even a detective in the Nolan movies.
he was really bad at his job. Like
He
he was
didn't
tricked so easy.
I swear, in the Nolan movies, which mind you, I really did enjoy, but
I did, yeah.
Batman, what's his face? He was such a good Bruce Wayne. Like,
Yes.
he was such a good Bruce Wayne, complete dick. And but Batman, it was just like, okay, can you just take the mask off and just be yourself again? Like
Yeah.
I
And like
really, yeah, that's how I felt.
drink a glass of water or something. But yeah, like it's so I'm assuming, and then everybody counted this particular actor out, and apparently he did really well as Batman. Um,
Robert Pattinson.
yes,
Uh,
from the special vampire movies, the with the sparkliness.
Yeah, the
Um,
sparkling vampire movies. So bad.
but
So
apparently he's been doing really well in his other roles, and so I was
yeah,
interested. I
he's
was
a good
interested.
actor.
He's
He is.
great.
He's
Great.
a really good actor, and you know what? Almost everybody, I shouldn't say almost everybody, but a lot of people on Twilight were good. It was other people who were not. And we
Just like
don't
as
have
a
to
whole, it was
it was
just like
they were so bad.
it's almost like well, you know how like when actors get on to a M Night film and then they just forget how to act. Like
Oh
that's what
my
it seems like. Or that's what it seemed like when that
gosh.
movie came out. It was like, wow, like you're actually good at this. What is going on?
What's
Um,
happening?
but yeah, regardless of the film, I'm not even if it was Spider-Man, and I know Spider-Man did really well, and I can understand them wanting to, potentially the idea that in the state of COVID, people will still go to see this movie. I get
Mm,
that, right? And you want to make as much money as possible. People aren't going as much as they used to, so you want to get as much money as you can when they do go. Totally understand those things. However, no, like I'm not
no,
paying more just to see a movie,
no.
especially when I'm not interested in the other movies to begin with.
Mm-mm.
It's not like you're going to see a show and they're like if you come over here you'll see this particular band but band A is over here like Woodstock. Like no, I don't want I'm just going to go to band A because that's the one I
Yeah.
wanted. Why are you charging me more? But
Like,
apparently this is mind you, this is not going to change because I feel away.
no,
This has to be like a huge, like people are just going to be like no. But the thing is with Marvel and all these other films that are coming out that comic book based or superhero based or whatever the case may be, people are going to pay to see these movies. The
yeah,
only way there actually is a bump is if people go see them but not at AMC theaters, and then AMC will be like, oh okay, let's pull it back a little
right.
bit.
Let's all go to Regal.
Right,
Like,
I have no problem. I
you
will pull up
know,
real quick.
we'll go anywhere. I mean, like, the argument stands as if, like, they're like, okay, well, we're going to charge more for new movies and movies that we expect to be blockbusters, but movies that have been out for the last several weeks, it'll be like what? A sliding, like, it
Well,
becomes
see,
less every week. Like,
it's
I'm
not
trying to
even
figure it out.
that. It's movies. So, like for instance, the Batman drops this week, and then Uncharted came out not too long ago.
Yeah.
The Uncharted film that is actually still priced higher than Uncharted. So that's the thing. Like, it's not like if there was a sliding scale, maybe I would dig it. Like, oh, this movie's been out for at least a month. We're gonna
Hmm.
charge you a little bit less to come see it. In
Yeah.
the idea of like, maybe you'll get some popcorn since your ticket doesn't cost as much. I
Hmm.
would be amicable to that because then I could just wait on the film. But they're like, no, the Batman is just gonna cost more, and it's like
That's
that's
weird. That's
yeah,
how weird that is because it's an AMC choice and not the film's choice. You know what I mean? Like,
right,
so that's just so interesting that the theater's just like, I mean, okay, we're gonna charge more. Like, you know how they said they were gonna charge more for internet? You remember how they were, that whole net neutrality
right.
thing where they were gonna be like, so if you want to use if you want faster internet or if you want to use internet this much, we'll let you use this many gigabytes, and then if you go over that, we're just going to slow you down, or stuff like that. But I mean, that wasn't what net neutrality was about. Net neutrality was about companies being able to send internet at the same speed. Like they were going to basically block some companies from giving
Right.
internet at a certain speed and then only allow other ones to do it. Then that's just wrong. But it's I don't know, it's kind of it's so interesting. It's just AMC, but yeah, so we're just picking and choosing and we're gonna take this blockbuster. That could backfire and then the movie may not do as well
I
there.
mean,
So
potentially,
yeah, I mean,
potentially.
that's just weird. And I mean, I just still don't understand why anybody eats in the theater anymore. I mean, like we've talked about this before. We brought our own food because we're poor. But it's really hard to watch a movie and eat at the same time, especially when the volume isn't there. Like, I don't understand how people can hear and chew. I can't really hear and chew.
Oh, word?
Uh,
I can do that. I could definitely do that. I like at home. Yeah, I can have some pizza and whatnot and watch a
yeah,
movie.
because you're at home and you can control the volume of your own television. But, like,
True.
in the theaters, like, I really like, especially when there's a lot going on and then there's a lot of people. There's like a packed theater or whatnot, and I'm like, I literally can't hear if I'm crunching on popcorn, I really can't hear. If I'm chewing on a pizza, different story. But if I'm crunching, I can't hear anything on crunching. That's why I never understood popcorn in movies. I didn't get it. And popcorn was so easy to choke on. Like, I don't want to do that while I'm watching something. Like, I'm not and again, maybe that makes me different from other people, but
Potentially, but that's not
yes.
bad.
And I mean,
My
like, I was happy to eat something. No, I don't need to eat in the movie theater.
right. I'm there for the movie, and I'll get it sometimes. Like I said, if I'm celebrating, but for me, it's usually the other people. Like I went to see when me and my brother went to see Resident Evil, the
Uh-huh.
latest one, and he had popcorn, and he did this thing where you know how like you can tell someone is chewing, but they're not trying to be loud, and so
Yes.
like
You
so he was
chew
doing
once
that.
and then
Right.
I guess
And, like,
and
he was he leaned over, was like, "Hey, can you hear me?" I'm like, "Nah, you good, fam." And so but see,
again.
because we think that way, and plus I have an issue, like, with just hearing people chew, I can't stand it. So, when I'm in the theater and I hear other people chewing, that is what bothers me, less so than myself. I just can't I feel like everyone is obnoxious level goes up by a million, and like
Yeah.
everyone has like the most noisiest bag you've ever heard of, and it's just I don't know. It's a whole thing with me. So I'm like, just please get through everything you have to eat while the trailers are happening, so we can watch this film. But beyond that, it's a lot of it is the pricing, how expensive it is for the amount of food that you get, and for the quality and all this other stuff. It's like a bottle of water is like $9, depending on where you go.
Mhm.
And it's like I don't want to spend all that. I really don't. I just want to come watch the movie.
Yeah.
And I'm but I definitely don't want to pay more for a movie that I don't even know is good. Like potentially it could be good because it's the big thing right now, but it could be trash. Like
Yeah.
it really could be. So yeah, so that's that. Next thing we wanted to talk about was hilarious in so many ways.
It is.
Apparently, people keep robbing Netflix, and not the way you would think. I'm not talking about people sharing accounts and all that good stuff, which is funny. That's funny in of itself because Netflix is like, please don't do that. Even though a while ago they used to be like, yeah, go ahead, let everybody watch. It's cool. Yeah, they
Yeah.
need that. They need that money. They need that money. When you have a movie drop like every week of a year, yeah,
Yeah.
you need that
Not
money.
our fault you're buying up everything that Korea puts out. It's literally
Right.
not our fault. That's on y'all.
That is definitely on you. But at the same time, I don't mind it too much because Netflix is I get a lot of entertainment from Netflix. My family does, so I'm not
Yeah.
too hung up on that. Um, in terms of like making sure I pay and all that good stuff. But no,
Uh-huh.
that's not the theft that I'm talking about. I'm talking about people actually holding people up or stealing things from a set. Apparently, looking at the Hollywood Reporter, shout out to James Hibbard, I believe that's their name. Um, Netflix is experiencing a few money heists, or they have experienced a few money heists. The first one was on The Crown.
Yeah.
um, which is being, I believe it's being shot in northern England. Um, and people came in and stole like $200 worth of props back in,
220,000.
oh yeah, like back in February 24th. And since then, I want to say like a day ago or a few days ago, another heist happened, and this was on the set of Lupin. And if you don't know, that's the story of the famous thief, um, which is hilarious and ironic how someone robbed the show about a thief who robs different places. I just thought that was mad or ironic, but apparently, um, they came in and threw fireworks everywhere and then stole. I guess people thought it was gunfire and like hit the deck or ran or whatever.
Yeah,
And in the midst of all that confusion, they stole $330,000 worth of equipment. And I'm like, fam, this is how is this happening? Like,
I
is there
know.
no people? There's no security on set. There's
Clearly.
no. Uh, I mean, because this happened in two different places. Like Lupin is being shot in. Actually, I don't know where Lupin is shot. I
It's
know
shot in
that.
France, but I don't know where. I mean, like,
Okay, because the two sets that were hit are in two different countries, I believe. Like, I don't think they're in the same area,
yeah,
but like they both were targeted while they're there.
yeah.
And this isn't the first time Netflix has had some pretty
Mhm,
bad run-ins. Thankfully, this time no one was hurt, no one was injured on with these robberies. They've had previous encounters when they were shooting like I want to say down close to Mexico. There was a shooting or when they were doing the Narcos show.
mhm.
And someone ended up passing unfortunately. So there has been things that have happened on Netflix sets, but this is the latest one with multiple robberies. And I'm like, what is going on out there, y'all? Like, what
Yeah.
is what is happening? Like, I,
I
I
just
need y'all to
never
have. Go ahead.
no, I just never knew how lax sets were. I mean, I guess some are, like, because you know how a lot of times when they're filming, especially when they're filming on location in popular places, like, sometimes stuff will film in DC and, there's crowds, like, all over like, there are people literally people, like,
Right,
around on the set borders because they wanna catch a star, they wanna, get pictures, this, that, and the other, and that happens a lot, and I know that,
right,
but it's like, yeah, I mean, where is you guys are supposed to be not let's forget the equipment. That stuff's inanimate and it can be replaced. But
right.
if somebody wanted to do harm to any of the crew members, any of the actors, like that could happen. How are these places not having real security? Are all the, security guards have COVID? Like what's going on?
Yeah, because it didn't say that there was a scuffle or if they were chased away. It was now. Granted, it was a at least on the Lupin,
Uh-huh.
uh, theft. There was a lot of people. It was 20 thieves that were covered in masks,
Damn.
covered faces or whatever that broke into the set, and so it wasn't. I can understand. That was a large group of people, and that
Yeah.
would be kind of hard to corral them, especially if you think they're shooting. You're probably going to want to get everybody offset and safe before you try to prevent whatever's going on. But the amount of money in terms of what was stolen, because they don't say like in the Crown, it was like props, so wardrobe stuff like that. But this says equipment. So I feel like they're carrying heavy things. Just in my mind, I'm thinking cameras and pieces of the set, stuff that you can probably flip. You know what I mean? Like you're not gonna steal, I don't know, like a fake scepter or something that Lupin was gonna steal from a museum. Like it's not real. You know what I mean? So
Mhm,
you're not gonna really lose any or gain anything from that. So I'm thinking it's electronics that they're taking and big items. So I'm
mhm.
like, if anything, you know, was there any police presence? Did you guys call the police? Like, and granted, they're in a different country. I know when, like you were saying in DC, they usually shut down the streets and everything. You can kind of be along the
Yeah.
outskirts of things, but they
Yeah.
usually have the police are there just in case. I know
Mhm,
that they were shooting AMC, not the other AMC, but AMC was shooting The Walking Dead
mhm,
here actually in VA and at I want to say at Monroe Park,
mhm.
not Monroe Park. It was I forgot the park's name, but they were shooting here. But there was like So like if you were just out and about, you could see like people dressed up as zombies and walking around. But
Mhm.
I believe there was also security. Like there was people walking around. There were people. There were police officers. They had police officers. Their cars were parked in certain ways that people can see that they're there. So if you wanted to do
Yeah.
anything crazy, at the very least you were aware or were mindful that, oh, the cops are like right there. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know how anything was set up. There's no pictures have been released of the set or like what it looked like. So there's a lot of speculation. At the same time, it's mad funny to me. And one of
Yeah, it
the,
was really funny.
it's funny because then not only that, but Lupin, there was a person who apparently robbed another place pretending to be like Lupin. Like they were like, I took my my attitude or my I studied the show basically, and I went and was able to successfully pull out. I mean, I guess not super successful because they eventually got caught, but the fact that this this is happening, it's like, yo, like I don't know. I just think it's ironic when life imitates art. It's usually the other way around
I
for the most
know.
part, and to have this happen on a show about stealing things, it's just too perfect. It's
Yeah.
like someone was in on this. If this was if this was like April, I would be like,
Yeah,
nah.
total April Fools,
I'd be like,
like,
nah.
yeah, that's funny, but no, it is hilariously crazy. It's like, wait, Lupin is literally about a thief. It's
Right.
literally about a guy who pretends to be so many people and pulls off massive heists, and they're so good. And then, oh, by the way, since you guys are just actors, we're gonna show you the real how it's done.
Right.
You
And it's
know?
just a nice payday. And especially if they're, amongst the same group. That's a decent payday. It's over $500,000 worth of Netflix gear that they've taken
Maybe they're
within
gonna
the
hold it hostage and be like, "Hey, Netflix, you need to lower the cost." So they can
that's terrible. That's terrible. I wouldn't be upset
all
if they did lower the cost, by the way. But I'm just saying that is mad terrible.
I
That's terrible.
mean
So beyond heists and AMC, shooting the price up for different films and whatnot, the last thing we wanted to talk about was Patrick Stewart. Patrick Stewart confirmed that he is in the new Doctor Strange film. In so many words, he was
mm,
being interviewed on Jake's Takes on YouTube. And if you don't know who Jake is, because you probably don't, because it's just a random name, Jake. This is Jake Hamilton, the Emmy winner. He apparently interviews people on his show, and one of the people or persons that he interviewed recently was Patrick Stewart. And they
mhm,
talked about all sorts of things. And one of the things that they made mention of was the trailer for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. There's a
mhm,
scene there where Doctor Strange is being brought in to, I guess, speak to a council. What
uh-huh,
I'm thinking is the Illuminati. If you read comic books, you know what that is. Is a group of people who think they know better than everybody else.
mhm.
And one of those characters is
It's
Professor
Beyoncé.
X. What? Yes. Yep.
Okay. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
That would be
yeah.
weird if like he just pulled up and Beyonce was there. Not
It
not like she's acting as someone, but it was just Beyonce. Like, no, it's
I
just
mean,
me. It's,
it's
it's
just
just me.
her. It's just her. She's
That
just
would be
there.
that's
She's
wild.
Beyoncé.
Yes. So besides Beyonce, Professor Xavier, and what was interesting though is that nobody saw him. We just heard his voice,
Mm,
and people were like, "Oh, it's Xavier. It's Patrick Stewart is Xavier. X-Men. It's confirmed or whatever." And
mhm.
you know how the internet do. The internet be interneting,
Yeah,
and we were like, "Nah." I mean, that would be dope, but nah. And because with Doctor Strange and recent happenings with the different films and TV shows, we have the multiverse and how there's
mhm,
different versions of each character and all this other stuff. And it was something that we were saying that the was it Marvel's what was the show? What if show, how that's
mhm,
canon now and how that is potentially how we see these new characters like the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, and et cetera, et cetera.
mhm.
And so it would make sense that the X-Men kind of appear, or this is how we're going to be introduced to them, as opposed to hiring all new actors or having an origin story, because like where are the mutants when all the other stuff is going down? It has to be the
Uh-huh.
multiverse, right? And so when people heard that, they freaked out. And so people were hush hush about it. I think Patrick Stewart like said he wasn't like that's not me. What are you talking about? But then he actually admits it on this show. He's quoted in saying that I actually didn't recognize my own voice. It sounded different. Whether I had a cold or something at the time, I don't know. But I was astonished, and all they saw was the back of my shoulder, and I think maybe my earlobe. Nothing else. They would have had to been so many connections made, and it pleased me. Basically saying it pleased him that the fans were able to figure it out, but then also that the reception was pleasant. He was happy that people were excited to see him. He goes on to say that you know it's amazing that he's even being spoken about because he's died twice. Like Professor Xavier died twice in the X-Men X-Men universe, and so he's like the fact that he's around is like he must be Superman.
He's
Um,
like, how?
right? It's like you want me back again? Um,
Yes, because you are the only thing, you're the only constant that we
yeah,
have that no one has any argument about. No one has any argument about Patrick. So we talked about this on the show before that Patrick
right,
Stewart was literally born to play this role. When they were coming up with the X-Men and when they came up with Professor X, now yes, we know he's not based off of Patrick Stewart, but he was in a way.
right,
So, like we understand Professor X and Magneto are based off of Malcolm X and Martin Luther King and whatnot, but still, there was like somebody from the future that went into all the what's it called, their heads, the
right,
Marvel people's heads, and was like, "This man will be born, and his name shall be Patrick Stewart, and you will create a role for him, and it will be this." And
right.
that's just how it is, so, yeah, that's just yeah,
It
that's
just makes
it.
sense. Like,
Yeah.
not only like the look, like he looks like him. Like just other people had to have makeup and like maybe prosthetics or whatever to kind of look like who they need to look like, change their hairstyle. Like, nope, you just come in, just wear a jacket.
It's
It's
yourself.
cold.
Wear so wear a jacket.
So it gets cold in here. Just wear a jacket. Doesn't really matter which one. It's because you just look like you. That's all.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it was really people were we were excited. And then the fact that he's saying it, that he's in the film is pretty cool. To what extent we don't know, but it's exciting because this is teasing or potentially teasing the X-Men, and
Yeah.
we want to see the X-Men, especially with them interacting with other Marvel. Because this is something that even the some of the actors themselves, like Hugh Jackman, was saying that he would love to be in the films with the other characters. Like that's something that he always wanted to do as Wolverine, and that would be really cool if he came back to do that, even if it's just for one film. Before he kind of like passes the torch to someone else, it would be really cool for that to happen because we've had this universe and we know that like a lot of characters were cut off because they were owned by other companies.
Yeah.
Marvel, when Marvel was going through their financial issues,
Yeah.
they wrote some bad contracts and
Yeah.
allowed these different entities to kind of keep these properties as long as they were making films, especially Sony with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And Disney's like, nope, we're buying everything back. And so
Yep.
since they bought Fox, it makes sense that now they can finally start to put these characters in the MCU,
Uh,
them including the Fantastic Four. I'm looking forward to it. But with that being said, speculation, we're probably not going to see the X-Men for a while. Like just like in terms of like having their own film or things of that nature. We're probably not going to see that for a while now because they've already shown us their I think it's phase 5 now. Like they've shown the next series of films that are supposed to be coming
uh-huh.
out. And X-Men wasn't one of them. The Fantastic Four was, but not the
Uh-huh.
X-Men.
Yeah.
So I'm curious. I'm really curious. I'm also curious to know if Reed Richards from the Fantastic Four is going to be in this, just because the Illuminati is made up of characters like that, like
Yeah.
Professor X, Black Panther, Doctor Strange, Captain America,
Mhm.
like a lot of people who just think they know better.
Yeah.
They usually
Yeah.
screw stuff up. To be honest, they
So
usually
so
screw stuff up. So I'm curious. And then also there was rumors that Tony Stark was supposed to be back in it as another version of Tony Stark.
yeah.
Um,
Not
so
not our beloved Robert Downey Jr. because he literally quit.
Right. Right. Unless Disney's giving the bag, because for a cameo, couple mil, I'll
I
do it.
mean,
I'll
yeah,
do it.
they can definitely drop some hundos on the
Right.
man, and
I
he'll be
wish
like, "Okay,
I would love to see his face if they wrote a check for like a few $100. Oh my
few a
gosh.
few hundos." Be
That's
like,
that I would pay more for that, AMC. I would pay
I
more
would
for that.
literally pay money, and I have none, but I would pay that just to see Robert Downey Jr.'s face, because he makes the best facial expressions.
Right.
So
This
good.
type of bullshit. Like, yeah, that would be great.
And he'll even be like, "Just 300?" And we'll be like, "Yeah, it's just 300." He'll be like, "I'll do it." Like, I can even see him be like, "I'll do it. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. I'll do it. I'll do
He's
it
like,
because
you're wrong, but I'll do
this
it.
is worth it."
Right. So yeah, we have some time before that comes out. That's gonna be dropping in theaters on May 6th. I'm not going to see it. Um I have to wait. Like, it's just too many. I don't know. Maybe things will be a little bit better come May. I doubt it.
Mhm.
There's a bunch of movies that I want to see in the theater, but I just can't with you people. You're just rude. Like, you're just
Yeah.
people like don't have masks on. They're all over people. Like, you just forget
Yeah.
that COVID is even a thing. And yeah, we're not doing that. We're not doing that in 2022. Nope.
No. One of my friends, she's like, "Oh, I really wanna go, I'm gonna go to the movies. I'm gonna go, like, I can't wait. I'm just gonna go see whatever movie, I don't remember it." Or she wants to see Serrano. And I was like, "Yeah, cool. I can't go to the movie." She's like, "Why not?" I said, "Concussion." And mind you, she has concussion too. And she's like, "What? You can't go to the movies when you have a concussion?" And I just, at that point, I was just like, "You know what? I'm not gonna explain this any further." I said, if you wanna go to the movies, then go ahead. You go ahead, and you just go to the movies and then see how you feel."
Like, your whole nervous system is connected. Never
Yeah,
mind. It's
I'm
cool.
not doing that.
No, it's because even with because a lot of people are like younger people are either they're okay when they get COVID and all this other stuff, and it's like no, there's a lot of lingering effects that happen, that take place after you're free of COVID, and that
Yeah.
some of them have been ongoing, like since 2019, ongoing,
People are still
and
coughing, and they've been free of COVID for a year. They're still coughing.
right, like just can't get rid of the cough, having breathing issues, things affecting their brain, not in the way that we're thinking, but like in the sense of like extra anxiety and stuff like that. Like, there's a lot of stuff that's just coming out, news of how COVID has affected people, and they didn't even know it. And I think the term is like long COVID or something like that, where they think like, oh, okay, maybe you just have a cold now. It's like, no, there's something seriously wrong here, and
Yeah.
admitting people back into the hospital. There's certain procedures that are like normal or plain, or like you want to get uh blood work done for something, you think you have something or whatever, right? And the doctors are saying like, well, we actually don't have room for you right now, because when we get people in for COVID, and this is, I guess, is kind of a good thing, you find out that, oh, you also have all these other things that are going wrong, and people don't know, right? And because COVID is like, if you're immunocompromised, it's worse for you. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
we need to address all of these things, since we got you here, type of thing. So
Yeah.
it's people are clogging up, the hospitals, um, right now, and it's like, for a movie though,
Yeah, it's
nah,
just not worth it. Like, come on, man. It's just not worth it.
it's not. It's
But,
really not.
people were going to, Bow Wow concerts and getting COVID, so, whatever.
If you could see my face,
I could see it through the computer. I just felt it. Like, the airwaves just, like, created an image in front of me.
especially after, I'm not even gonna bring it up, but yeah, it's just be safe, everyone. Definitely be safe. These movies will be on Disney Plus. It's at a certain point. Well, maybe not Spider-Man. I think Spider-Man is going to Netflix. Netflix has a deal with Sony, but they were going to be on streaming services. They're going to come to Blu-ray. You're going to be able to see them in the comfort of your own home. I know it's better to watch it in the theater. At the very least, go afterwards. Like, I went, and I know Spider-Man is a little different because people didn't want spoilers. They didn't want people to just say, which came immediately. I was happy I went to see that, because good grief. Like,
Stayed off the internet. I mean, like, I've been on the internet, but I am so lucky that I have not gotten one spoiler. Like,
dude,
except for the fact that,
articles.
No, I
You're not
don't read
even
any of that stuff. I stay away from all of the websites. I have not man, I've literally not had one spoiler. If I see anything, if I am on the interwebs and anything that remotely looks like Marvel pops up, it is immediately swiped. Like
yeah.
I have not there's literally no spoilers. I don't know what happens in that movie. I know Tobey Maguire is in it and I know Andrew Garfield is in it. I
Yeah.
that is
And
it.
see,
I
that's
have
even that of
nothing.
itself was like a because the article, so like there was a point where articles would say something and it's like, guess who died or whatever, right? And then you would have to click the article, and then when you scroll down, it's like, okay, warning, spoiler warning, this person died, or I'm sorry, spoiler warning, we're getting ready to tell you who died. If you don't want to see it, go away. Type of thing. Now
Mhm.
it was like a free for all. It was like who could spoil it the first, the fastest. Like, no,
Mhm.
this is the title of the article. This is exactly what
Yeah.
happens at the end. Like, not even like, uh, nothing to leave anything to the imagination. It's just like, no, this, I remember going to see Endgame. I saw Endgame, and then a few days later, and this is everyone should have seen Endgame by now, but a
Yeah.
few days later, that's a warning for spoiler. A few days later, on the internet, a website, probably one of the ones I don't rock with, was like,
Yeah.
this is why such and such died at the end.
Yeah.
And
I
they
know
said his whole
exactly.
name. And I was
Mhm.
like, really? It hasn't been out that long.
Yeah.
Like,
I
like,
remember that.
wow. Huge spoiler. And I'm not even one to get like super upset at spoilers, but when it seems like people just want to be dickish. That's what makes me upset, because you
Yeah.
can talk about this stuff without like I just did. If you know, you know. I didn't have to say his name, even though
Yeah.
I could have. I didn't, because people who know what I'm talking about, they know what I'm talking about. You can talk about
Yeah.
these things without spoiling it.
Mhm.
So going all the way back to what we were talking about before, Spider-Man. I understood why people wanted to see it, because they were afraid about being spoiled.
Yeah.
But at the same time, COVID has gotten worse in terms of like mutating,
Yeah.
and it's just, you can wait. You can wait. It's
I
okay.
totally can wait. I
I
mean,
wait a month. I went to see Scream a month after it came out, and it was me and two other people, and we were mad spread out. Like I couldn't hear anything but the film, and it was great. It was
yeah.
amazing. I felt comfortable. I could stretch out. There was no popcorn and crap all over the floor. No one was
Yeah.
chewing. Like, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
no
Like,
one was chewing.
it was great. And even though we were spread out, we were still masked up. Like, it felt good. So like I can wait. I can wait a few weeks, make sure everyone
Mhm.
is, heck, I even waited for Spider-Man. It was still packed, unfortunately, but you can wait. It's possible. You can do it.
It's totally possible. Look
So
at
that
me.
has
Still hasn't even watched Eternals, and I have access to it on Disney Plus. I
well, there's a
will do
reason
it.
why. You're gonna have to watch that in segments just because it's so long,
Yeah,
and you
and I
know,
have other things to do.
right. And there's also some dry moments in there. But beyond that, it's okay. I liked it for what it was.
Mm,
But it's not something you need to rush out and see right now.
yeah.
You know, it's definitely not. But yeah, that is our episode 79. Thanks for hanging out with us. We had a great time. Hopefully, you had a great time too. If you're listening on YouTube, feel free to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you're up on all the new content that's coming out. If you're not on YouTube, if you're on Spotify or iTunes, Google Podcasts, or any of those other places that our podcast lands on, including Verbal, then feel free to add us to your RSS feed, subscribe there, so then you'll be aware of all the new content that's coming out.
Mm,
We have a lot to talk about. There's so many things, like just nerdy things to talk about. Like for instance, Netflix's live action One Piece show. I am supposed to be doing a review on that, because I've seen every episode of One Piece, the animated show.
mm,
I was a pretty solid choice for that. So I'm actually going to be writing a review when that gets closer to launch, or closer to
cool.
coming out, and
Mhm,
I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, it's better than Cowboy Bebop. I think it will be.
mhm.
The consensus of like Cowboy Bebop, it makes me think that Netflix is gonna potentially, have a little bit more hands on, or at the very least be like, hey, we kind of need this to succeed. We're pumping a lot of
Mhm.
money out, and if because the room for them to make a lot of money based off these anime, um, live action, reimagined animated pieces or whatever, could be really big. Like this would sell their streaming, just like a lot of those Korean shows that they brought to the platform. A lot of people
Yeah.
like them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They get hit a lot, so it would make sense for them to do well. Um, so I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to that, and coming back here and talking to you guys about it. I'm also looking forward to all the new games that are gonna be dropping soon, outside of Elden Ring, which I know has flooded everywhere on Twitter and the
Yeah.
socials. But there's a lot of games that are coming out. The new Kirby game drops this month, and it looks great. An open world Kirby game. What? It looks
Yeah, it
dope.
sounds fun.
It looks dope. So yeah, be on the lookout for all that, and definitely follow us on Twitter. You can see it
Mhm.
down in the well. If you're on Spotify, you're not going to be able to see our information, but you can go follow us at the Gamecast1 on Twitter, and you know
Yeah.
be abreast of all the new stuff that's happening with us. And yeah, I think that's it for housekeeping.
Yeah, so the one thing that I wanted to mention, I know last week, not last week, the week before, a couple of times we talked about some Tolkien stuff,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah,
I actually did make a mistake, so I want to apologize for that. This is something that I didn't realize because I haven't read like People's Middle Earth, and I also haven't read any of my Tolkien books since like 2002. So
yeah. It's
like
been a minute.
it's been a really long time, and yeah. But I had mentioned that Tolkien didn't put any people of color into his world, but I'm not. That's actually not correct. He did.
Hmm.
They just really don't have a big part. But I had said very matter of factly that his world was not integrated. Like I had said that very matter of factly. I was like, he just didn't put any people of color, and uh, wrong. He did. And, but again, like, they're just the South people, the Haradrim. And I realized my mistake when I was watching a video. I mentioned this before. There's a person called Rainbow Dave on the internet, and I love like
Right.
his little, um, like retellings of like the Silmarillion. Anyway, so he did make a comment. He actually had a really, really good video on like what we had talked about a couple weeks ago regarding um, basically what kind of Amazon is doing with the new show
Right.
and what his feelings were towards it. And he had a really good segment on it. But he did mention he's like, Tolkien did actually put these people in there. So then I was like, oh my goodness, I was wrong. Let me go and read a little bit more. And there are more works where you can actually see that Tolkien did imagine the people of the South. He based them off of like Ethiopians. So the intention was there that he did actually have people in his legendarium who were not
Hmm.
white, but he didn't but the truth is he didn't go as far as to integrate any of like, he didn't integrate Hobbit land. He didn't integrate the Shire. He didn't integrate, um, Rivendell. He didn't you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't
Yeah, it was less of adding diversifying the cast or
right.
group of characters versus, oh, these are people from a southern region
Exactly.
type of thing, which
Yeah.
we kind of see that. Unfortunately, we see that in a lot of places, in a lot of books and
Yeah.
whatnot, because it's treated as other, like, oh, those
Exactly.
people over there, like, because if you outside of certain happenings, there's not a lot of things that happen, or important, world changing events happen there. It's like, all the good stuff is, the conflict, the battles and whatnot. It's going to be over here. And then, oh
Yeah.
yeah, we do have these other people, and they'll come up from time to time, but
Mm.
they're not really part of the story though. It's just these
Yeah.
people over here. You know what I'm saying? So,
Mm.
and it's good to be accurate.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So that definitely commend you for coming back and saying that. Um, but we know what it is. Like,
Yeah, we know what
let's
it is.
right.
And to be fair, like, I didn't even remember because, like, apparently those people from the South are in the 3rd movie, like, in The Return of the King. They're the people riding the elephants. Like, they're the
Right.
people they're fighting against and stuff, and I was like, "I don't even remember this." Like, I don't remember them
Because it's
have
it's it's
yeah.
treated as extra.
Yeah.
The entire film for the most part is following a group of characters, and
Yeah.
then we have and extras that come out because there's a war going on.
Yeah.
It's like it's almost like thinking when the king goes back and I think Aragon goes back and gets the dead soldiers to come fight with
Yeah.
him.
The Dead
It's
Kings.
like, and then to
Yeah.
be like, oh, those are important characters. Well, no, not really.
No.
They were there to fight, but they're not really. There was no character building. Okay,
They
they
were
just came in
literally
and
there for
stabbed
2
things.
seconds. Yeah, I think
Right.
they were way better in the book where they were not like, yeah, and the movie was just like, "Yeah, come and do this thing because you owe me," and they're like, "Okay."
Right. Exactly. We don't want to be that. We don't want to be that in the next, in the Amazon show. We don't want to be
Yeah,
the extra people that come in and just fight and die for
yeah.
you. Like, let's
I
not do
mean,
that.
apparently we're not. Apparently it's gonna be. And again, I mean, go Amazon, do your thing. Like, I'm not gonna say anything else on what Amazon is doing because I kind of don't. I I already. It's a whole nother show.
Right. Exactly. Right.
But yeah, I did wanna, at least make that correction because I did say very matter of factly that, people who weren't white didn't exist, and that's actually not true because they do exist, but basically they don't, and all the black people are actually just evil. So, and I'm not even joking, all the black people, basically all those people from the South are Sauron's people anyway. So it's not like we're represented well.
Right.
So I kinda stand by what I say.
The principle.
The
Yeah.
principle, but no, I was incorrect, so I wanted to correct that. But anyway. Yeah, that's it, guys. So thanks for sitting with us, listening to us, chopping onions with us, if that's what you were doing. Whatever activity you were doing while you were listening, cool. But we'll see you guys in a week or 2. And hope you guys stay safe, wear your masks, wash your hands, don't be a dick, and just be kind, everybody. See ya in a week, maybe. Bye bye.